Joined now by friend of the show, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, you came on my show. Buck is out already for the holiday. He'll be back on Tuesday, so he wanted to make sure I said that he looks forward to talking to you again soon as well. But you came on my sports talk radio show back when you were running for president as a Democrat. I was impressed with what I was seeing from you. And I think that our political evolution has really kind of mirrored in many ways because you have voted, obviously, as a Democrat. You were a congresswoman for a long time. I used to vote Democrat. The party left us behind. And you now have endorsed Donald Trump. You appeared yesterday at a town hall in Wisconsin. For me, it is Democrats fundamentally abandoning free speech. That's my sort of clarion call. I can't support a party that wants to restrict what anyone can say. But a lot of people have made different choices. Elon Musk, you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., myself to a degree. There are tens of millions of us out there. What has the reaction been since you endorsed Trump?
The reaction has been largely and quite overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, have gotten some hate mail from strangers and some from people who I've known for many, many years. The interesting thing about the hate mail that I've gotten is that the messages are very vile and quite literally filled with hate. It says a lot about where they're coming from and how they are not actually seeing the truth about what we're facing as a country. It's a personal thing. And yet the people that I'm hearing from, not only those who are saying thank you and, proud to stand with you for freedom, I think the most interesting and important thing is who I have heard from and the people I've heard from who have said, hey, I was a never Trumper until I saw your endorsement of President Trump, until I saw Bobby Kennedy's endorsement of President Trump. And now you're forcing me to look in the mirror and really question about what am I doing to defend freedom right now? You guys are reasonable. You are common sense Americans who love our country and cherish peace and freedom. I need to be on that side. And so this is where I see opportunity, and what I'm excited about as I've spent the last few days with President Trump. We had a wonderful town hall last night in Wisconsin where we were able to take questions from the audience and really see a very personal and intimate side of Trump, speaking directly to voters that we don't often get to see. And I'll just share one quick excerpt if you don't mind. There was a voter who attended last night who spoke to The Guardian, and there was an article today. Her name's Melissa Nelson. She's never voted for a Republican in her life, and she said if it were not for Tulsi Gabbard's endorsement, she probably would not have supported Trump this year. She was a former Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016, and now for the first time in her life, she's going to vote for for a Republican, and that Republican is Donald Trump for president.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing that anecdote from the event that you did last night with the president in Wisconsin. You know Kamala Harris pretty well as a candidate. In fact, you eviscerated her on the stage. You, unlike her, I'm going to praise you here, have been willing to stand on principle over politics. She is a chameleon. She's not talking to anyone. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the CNN interview. What did you find Kamala to be like when you ran against her in 2020? Now you are around President Trump. Comparing the two as potential commanders-in-chief, why is Trump a much better candidate than Kamala? And what have you learned about both based on your experience around both?
Well, let me start with the person, and I can tell you that the Kamala supporters, I think people are a reflection of the person who they are supporting. Who you surround yourself with. Not everybody by and large, but who are your core supporters? And there were a number of times when I was running for president in 2019, 2020, when we would have all the different Democratic candidates showing up at the same venue for all of us giving speeches. And a number of times when I was approaching the venue, we would walk by the supporters for different candidates. We saw them a lot. Oftentimes we were friendly and sharing snacks or whatever, saying, hi, how's it going? When I walked past and my team walked past the Kamala Harris supporters, they started hissing at us and waving their their styrofoam noodles at us, and it was a very bizarre thing that I think reflected the culture around her as a reflection of her as a person. Whereas the experience that I've had over this past week with President Trump and with his inner circle and the people around him, people of all ages, some people who've been with him for over 30 years, many people have been with him for a very long time. And I got to tell you, they are welcoming, they are kind, and they are very purpose-driven. They are not your typical political operatives. They're there because they really believe in the imperative that we face, which is saving our country. So I think it's important to point to the person, the personalities and the character of the people that we're talking about here. Kamala Harris hasn't changed a whole lot from 2019 in how she operates and who she is. So just like I exposed her on the debate stage in 2019 in that presidential primary for her hypocrisy and her lies and how she will say and do whatever she feels necessary to advance her own personal and political ambition, the same is exactly true today. And this is where President Trump will really have the opportunity on that debate stage to do the same. She will deliver some very well-rehearsed, well-practiced lines, but as he challenges her on her record as vice president, where she was not just sitting in the corner, she was the most tie-breaking vote as a vice president in the U.S. Senate, really pushing the Biden-Harris policies across the finish line, those radical policies that have really done such tremendous damage to our country. She's proud of being the last person in the room in the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal decision. Time after time, she said she is proud of the success of Bidenomics, and that, people who are saying, well, prices are too high, I can't afford it. Well, they just obviously don't know how great Bidenomics is, and we just got to tell them. Never mind the fact that they just can't afford groceries, a basic thing that they need to sustain themselves. So this will be an opportunity to once again show the American people that Kamala Harris is fake. She is a typical Washington swamp politician in the worst sense of the word, and she doesn't care about the American people. She only cares about herself.
You ran against her, as you were just telling us, in 2019 as a part of the Democrat primary process. Kamala dropped out in December of 2019 with Democrats having overwhelmingly said, we don't want this woman to be our nominee. She now has been elevated as the nominee for the Democrat Party, despite not having a single vote cast in her favor for president of the United States. If Democrats had had a wide open primary, Tulsi, and if Joe Biden had done what he should have done back in 2023 and said, hey, it's time to pass the baton to a new generation of leaders, do you think there's any way Kamala Harris would have ended up being the Democrat nominee right now as we're talking in about to be September of 2024?
If it were a true and fair Democratic primary, no. But I as we've seen in my experience directly in 2020, as we saw in this primary election, even if Joe Biden were not there, the Democrat Party doesn't believe in democracy, so they would not have a true Democratic primary. So if they decide which horse they want to put forward, which figurehead do they want to put forward as the front man that they can control, that is the person who would most likely win a Democratic primary, because they don't believe in allowing even Democrat primary voters to have their voices be heard. It is the core of the problem with the Democrat Party of today, one of the many reasons why I left. And one of the many reasons why, by the way, today I just came from an event with the Moms for Liberty in Washington, D.C., where a state representative, Sean Thierry, from Texas, announced at that event that she, as an elected state legislator from Texas, left the Democratic Party and has become a Republican. There are more and more people who are doing the same thing, the more the truth and the insanity of today's Democrat Party is being exposed. And that's where President Trump really has this incredible opportunity to bring people together around our shared fundamental values of freedom. Why you left the Democrat Party, Clay, why I left the Democrat Party, around peace, around ending these unnecessary regime change wars of choice that undermine our security, of walking us back from the brink of World War III and nuclear war, and actually putting us on that path towards a bright and prosperous future.
We're talking to Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, Tim Walz said last night during his CNN interview that the reason he said he served in combat was just a grammar mistake, and that he just misspeaks sometimes because basically he's a regular guy. You've been in the military and served for a long time. What's your reaction to that explanation for why he said he served in combat?
I think it's important I saw that clip from last night, and I also saw Dana Bash follow up because he did not answer the question. He did not answer the question. He basically said, people know who I am, and as you said, I make some grammar mistakes sometimes. I throw the BS flag immediately. He needs to own up to the fact that he lied or he misspoke or whatever it is, but he needs to take responsibility for the things that he has said that have completely mischaracterized what he has done in a lot of different areas, but especially in the military. If he wants to be Vice President of the United States, one breath away from being President and Commander-in-Chief, he needs to be someone that the American people can believe what he says to be true, and someone who holds himself accountable. In some ways, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are a great match for each other because it's clear that they have no qualms about lying to the American people and voters, and that ultimately this is about themselves and about their power.
We're talking to Tulsi Gabbard. Last question for you, Tulsi, and thanks for the time. We know you're busy running around campaigning now with President Trump. You are, and I'm excited about this, probably the most prominent woman surrogate now that is out there advocating for Trump. I'm sure you've seen the numbers. Men are overwhelmingly going to vote for Trump nationwide. Women right now are voting for Kamala Harris by potentially a double-digit margin, particularly younger women. What do you intend to do, and what can Trump do to help to convince women out there that he's the better option?
When you look at the actual policies and the contrast between Kamala Harris's record and President Trump's record, his policies benefit all Americans, especially and including women, young women, moms, suburban women, all of these different demographics that the pollsters throw out there. And so really, I think two things is just being able to communicate the truth, which is tough to break through sometimes, given how much the mainstream propaganda media are essentially acting as the communications department for Kamala Harris's campaign for president. I want someone to file a lawsuit against them so that they have to report all of this biased coverage to the Federal Elections Commission as in-kind campaign contributions. But we just have to find a way to break through, and it's doing things like we did last night in the town hall, where we can talk about and bring voice to these very real issues and challenges, and help encourage that direct conversation with President Trump, where sometimes people don't get to see him in that kind of informal, more intimate one-on-one conversation type of setting. I think that really it's going to come down to just being able to share with people the truth, breaking through the lies and sharing with people the truth about the contrast between President Trump and Kamala Harris. And I'm looking forward to being able to do that over these next 65, 66 days here in this election.
No doubt, Tulsi. Happy to have you on the team. We look forward to having you on again, and keep up the fight.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you always.
Yeah, appreciate you. That's Tulsi Gabbard. Make sure you go follow her on social. And I want to tell you, if you're getting your gear ready for the fall hunting season, adding a Bear Creek Arsenal rifle gives you an edge. Bear Creek Arsenal, been in the business for more than 2 decades, manufacturing great products at better prices than you'd expect for the quality. That's because they've eliminated the middleman, and you get the benefit of those savings. Buck has a ton of their products. You know who's out buying a ton of guns now? My wife. She wants an entire arsenal in the new house, and we're planning range days for a lot of their products soon. Check out the website to learn more about them at bearcreekarsenal.com. Innovative, have perfected the balance between outstanding gunsmithing and affordable products. You can save even more money when you use my name, Clay, as the discount code at bearcreekarsenal.com. That's bearcreekarsenal.com. My name, Clay, for their top discount, bearcreekarsenal.com.